Hey, chat. Thank you for staying up so late with us. Have you ever been welcomed on stage as a rock star?
Yeah, I forgot my bass.
Yeah?
That's what I needed to do. But,
So you're used to this?
Huh?
You're used to this?
It's getting good now. I think we've done Web Summit and a few things last week, and we're going to Slush in Helsinki next week. So yeah, I think it's good. I think what's good is Revolut initially, like, obviously I'm a marketer, right? So I love talking. It's my thing.
Yeah.
And the rest of the guys were all geeks, right? They were tech guys, they were coders, and they hated public speaking. And it's quite amazing to see that just in literally 2 years how these guys have come from being, really quiet coders to now going on stages and acting like rock stars as well. So no, it's good. It's been a journey.
I want to say, like, the topic of the conference is tech, right? And in a sense, we've been talking about fintech for some years now. It's startup grind build that. I want to say politely, it's still a hot thing, but maybe we can rephrase to that. What's with the fintech bullshit?
Yeah, so this is a topic I love to talk about, and it's not exclusive to fintech, but it's a big thing right now, right? There is a lot of bullshit. A lot of companies, saying they're going to change the world, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and I like to call it out when I see it. And I think one of the things we've spoke about is the idea of when you look at culture. So many of you will be founders, you'll be running companies, and there's this shift right now that started off in the US and is now slowly transitioning in Europe, whereby, sort of very entitled millennials are thinking that, what all that matters is what they think, right, in terms of when it comes to a culture. Because there's no denying that I've worked at Revolut pretty much since the beginning, and I've done several big companies before this at Rocket Internet, and there's a common metric, right, which is it's hard fucking work, right, and that will never lose, right? It's long hours, it's less resources, it's putting the effort in, and you're now seeing this switch of people thinking, people frightened by the idea of working, longer than 5 p.m. That it's, oh God, I have a life outside of work. It's like, well, don't work in a high-growth startup, right? Because there's always going to be the work-life balance element, but building a startup is hard work, and we're seeing that sort of shift in now, and I think it's important that we don't allow that sort of politics to come into tech and really disrupt what we are doing, which is disruption. We're innovators, we're hardworking, we're forward-thinking, and we've always been that way because tech has always been free thinking, right? To do things our own way, to try and test new ways. And when this politics that exists in so many other industries starts to dwell into tech, for me, that's a recipe for disaster. And I won't say who, but I've been traveling Silicon Valley lately. I've been speaking to some of the biggest tech companies, and even they're frightened by it, saying, yeah, we're struggling to motivate people. We're really struggling to, convince people that they want to really work hard on this and put in the effort. So I think that's one of the key things is, that element of, right now there's hundreds of fintechs in Europe. Will that be the case in a couple of years' time? I don't think so. I think a few will make it, particularly in the challenger bank space, right? I think you'll see a lot of them going bust, inevitably, as tech does, or you'll see a lot of them being acquired by banks and things, right, to absorb their technology. So I think for us, one thing I love about Revolut is we've always stayed true to ourselves, right? We are a no bullshit company. We don't play politics to get support, right? We don't jump on bandwagons to try and show that we're cool and in line with you. We're
Kind of like blockchain.
Yeah.
Is it stealing your thunder as well? Because that's the other thing.
I think I read an article last week that said blockchain is going to cure cancer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Looking forward to that.
This conference runs on blockchain, by the way.
So yeah, I think there's that element of bullshit, right? Which is that it's hard work, it's long hours. But the way I look at it, one of my friends came up to me and said, and he doesn't, he's complete opposite to me back home in Scotland. He's got a cushy 9 till 5, and he turned around to me and said, "Man, how can you still be in the office at 9 p.m.?" Right? And my point was, like, one thing I love about Revolut, there's no clock watching culture. So there's no times. You can get in when you want, you can leave when you want. It's purely based on results, right? So you have what you need to achieve that week. How you get it done is up to you. But of course, with my role, it's a relatively senior role, so I've got more to do. I'm constantly thinking. So for me, it's a bit more hours. But I absolutely I live and breathe what I do. So hours are nothing to me, right? If I'm in the office till 6, great. If I'm in the office till 7, fine. 8 doesn't make a difference, right? I love what I do. I'm building, I'm innovating, I'm disrupting. And even my mum turned around to me and said, why are you working such crazy hours? And my view was like, well, do I want to work my ass off in my 20s and get some stock options and equity in my company, really make it work, and then by the time I'm in my 30s, potentially cash out and make a lot of money? Or do I want to do what my dad did and work until he's 65? And that was my vision, right?
Yeah.
I said to myself, actually, I want to use this time while I'm in my 20s to get to the top of my game, to absolutely smash it, to rise the ranks, to build a company, to grow it, and to scale it while I can, so that life's that little bit easier as you go on. So it's not necessarily a reflection of Revolut. It's purely my thinking and my way of looking at it. But one thing I know is that this is this is the reality.
Yeah.
There's a difference between, I've worked in a startup or have you worked in a scale-up. There's a huge difference. And I think what's good is these kind of conferences are all about learnings, right? From our perspective, that's what it was.
So about hiring, right? Seems to me that you guys have got a strong company culture and that you're much more goal-driven and perhaps, hardworking is part of the mix, but it might not be the essential substance there. But I want to say, so perhaps a lot of people are just applying to your company thinking, I like the product, I like the brand, I like the mission, this and that, but maybe they don't look so much at the company culture, right? So do you think it's them, they are like mistakenly applying for the wrong job?
I don't know. I mean, you can never necessarily mistakenly apply because you don't always know what they're looking for, the company.
Yeah,
right?
but you can still like call people inside, talk to people inside, how is it working here as your day-to-day, like?
You would think, right?
Yeah,
a lot of people
don't.
Right? No, they see buzz, right? They see a company's name that's cool, it's tech, it's growing, and they're like, man, I want to work there, I'm going to apply. And one thing we look for, we're very data-driven, we're very goal-driven. And you get a lot of companies who say they're the opposite, right? They're completely people-driven and all this bullshit, right? And
We're dropping a few bombs over here.
And you have to call this crap out, right? I mean, I'm Scottish, I speak my mind, right?
Yeah.
This man.
I'm famous for that, so.
But, when we look at Revolut, it's purely based on results. So you come in, you know exactly what you need to achieve. We do, for example, one thing we do is, we look for people that are actually passionate about Revolut. Because when you love what you do, that reflects your output, right? It's a fact. If you're in a job that you hate, your output's going to be mediocre at best, right? You're not going to like it. You have no incentive to work later than 5 p.m. You don't really give a shit about the job so much, so you just plow on, right? But when you absolutely live and breathe and love your job, that kind of stuff, that sort of passion that you have is spilled into your work. You go the extra mile, you think differently, you think bigger. You actually put a lot more effort into it. So we look for people who, actually have bothered to look at Revolut and go, oh yeah, I noticed over the last 3 months you've been launching this and you've been working on that. I think this is so cool. I could totally see how you could take this there. That's already showing me someone who has a good insider information, who's clearly passionate about the industry that we operate in. Because banking isn't sexy, right? I mean, we're changing that, I think, but overall it's not. So when you find someone who's quite passionate about payments and banking, that's a good thing, right? And then when they're equally as more patient about your business, it's like the perfect recipe. So it's not about looking at someone's CV and saying, oh, they worked at Airbnb and they were this. Like, that's great. But I would take an inexperienced but driven and very passionate person any day of the week over someone who's got 10 years experience working at top-tier tech companies.
How about this tone that you've got, Revolut, as in your communication, social media, of that is slightly aggressive, cocky funny, if you will, defying the establishment and all of that. Is that part of your idea? Is it working? Is it paying off? Is it backfiring sometimes? I remember one tweet, it was like yesterday, that was like, here's to all the investors that didn't think this was a great idea like 3 years ago or something like that. And it was like a funny gave and all of that.
Yeah, basically, when we started Revolut 3 years ago, we were laughed at by a certain group of investors and banks. And we hit 3 million users yesterday, so it was basically a social media post that said "fuck you," which was quite cool.
It was something like that.
Yeah, along those lines.
Are you behind the Twitter handle?
Yeah, of course. Look, I'm the I'm the brand, I'm the marketing, that's all me. I mean, you say, is it working? Like, when I joined Revolut, we were averaging about 500 signups per day, and that stagnated for months. And when I sat down at Revolut, Nick, who's our founder, who's like stone cold to the point, which I like, sat me down and went, I just want you to know, I don't believe in marketing. I'm doing this because an investor told me to. So I kind of sat down.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but I actually said, yeah, I can get why a lot of marketers bullshit. And he was like, I don't want to, you're not going to come in here and get millions of dollars to go and do advertising campaigns. And
Not through Facebook posts, but
no, and I turned around to Nick and said, I don't need any money. We just need to do this right. So what we did is we applied this tone of voice. We were aggressive, we were funny, we were open, honest, transparent. We were just radically different.
Yeah.
And you know, in 18 months, without spending, you know, tons of money on marketing, we've grown from, you know, 400 a day to nearly 8,000 accounts every single day. So is it working? Absolutely. Is it to everyone's liking? No. And if it's not to your liking, fine. Like it's like you can look at brands like Nike. They just did that campaign lately with Colin Kaepernick, right? Yeah. Which is very controversial. So if you're a very patriotic American and you know you've got a guy kneeling at the anthem, that's not going to appeal to you, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I think there was a viral video of like people setting fire to their Nike shoes.
Yeah, some of them they still had them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always that person, right?
So my view is never have this indication that if your plan is to make your brand different, that you're going to appeal to everyone. You're not. Right? And I've learned that. I see people all the time being like, oh, Revolut, that was a bit immature. Yeah. But the numbers, right?
When did it backfire? Did it backfire at any point, or did you lose any kind of partnership, you know, client, all of that?
No.
Let's talk about fuck-ups.
I've definitely been told off sometimes.
Well, I can see why.
You know, our lawyer is one of my good friends, but I think I cause him some pain sometimes because I like to be different. Like, you should be different, right? Okay. Yeah. I'm intelligent enough to know where the line is, right? But I want to make sure I push as close to that line as I can, because that's how you stand out in a very crowded market. So, you know, I remember the first ever press release I did for Revolut that was sent to, I think it was the Financial Times, and the coverage was like, hey, shitty banks, you've had enough champagne, Revolut is launched. And it was all about the idea of being like, you know, those guys giving each other millions of bonuses, having all these exclusive parties and all this kind of stuff. And we really went out on them and attacked them. And we even did one image that was like, showed like all the homes that top bankers in the UK's owned in different islands around the world to show them, you know, where those fees you were being charged were going. But, you know, like I said, the best brands of today are the ones that are controversial. Even some of them backfire. Like you look at Pepsi. They try to get involved with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, you know, with Jenner or whatever her name is. And that massively backfired, right? Because there's a fine line between being too political and not being, right? And trying to balance that. It works for some, it doesn't for others. And I'm determined to make sure banking is no longer this sleepy, boring industry, but actually it can be a brand that people actually have faith in, that they share values with, they share goals with.
Great. How about, let's talk about your fuck-ups, not Pepsi's. So which things did backfire? What was your most costly mistake? And when did you feel like, oh, wow, that didn't go well?
Specific to marketing or general at Revolut?
Let's say general, but we can nail it down to marketing because that's your field.
So right now we're growing super fast, right? So we're about 8,000 accounts per day. That'll be 10,000 in Europe by the end of the year. And then in Q1, we're launching in like the US, Canada. So basically, by mid-next year, we could be anywhere between 30 and 50,000 accounts per day. Right. And that is great, but it is fucking shit scary as well. Because with that, you have to scale. You have to scale your customer support team, your compliance, your AML. Everything has to move at pace with how you're moving. And that's terrifying. And one thing we didn't do, like when we hit 1 million users, we were kind of like, oh, it's probably going to slow down. We don't need to really invest in much more. And then suddenly, within a week, within the next couple of months, like it was 1.5 million, and then every month it was like practically 1.6, 1.7, and we didn't hire any additional customer support agents. And there were points where people were waiting up to 2 hours to speak to a customer support agent. Now, most of our customers are very passionate, they're very loyal to us, and they understood that these were teething problems. They understood that these were scaling problems. But still, we failed to identify that, right? We failed to hire fast enough, and it was our fuck up. Yeah. But that is the issue with scale, is you know, you can fire for all this growth, but if you're not smart enough to think, actually, okay, but how does this impact every other team in the business? And the most important thing, one thing I've realized is 50% of your brand is customer support. Yeah. Right? The other 50% is the fun stuff, right? The PR and the marketing. But if someone's having a shitty service and they can't get to you when they need you the most, that's going to mostly impact your brand, and you know any marketing campaign will. So that really affected us. It pissed off a lot of people. We're back on track, which is great. We're hiring tons more people. We're opening a new customer support center in Europe in the next few months. In fact, not too far from here. Yeah. Still
different country, though?
It'd be Lisbon. Yeah, it's a different country.
It's a bit
Sorry,
far.
Spain. So yeah, that's been the biggest fuck up. And
Now, in marketing, there's any specific that you want to share? Like some marketing campaign that was like, oh, no, facepalm moment.
no, I think I like to give a lot of my guys freedom, right? I'm not a micromanager. I find people are at their best when you let them be at their best, right? But with that comes hesitation as well. So there were times where I was maybe a little bit too lenient, and if a blog post was going out that was maybe a little bit too aggressive. In fact, I remember one time N26, who are a German bank, they basically tried to insinuate that we copied one of their card designs. It was kind of like
black one.
Yeah. It's kind of like throwing your
They
toys
look
out.
really. I mean, I own both of them, so.
Yeah, but you can't copyright a black bank card, right?
Yeah.
And the founder came on Twitter on his personal account and called us out, and he was like, yeah, this is just a cheap ripoff. And then one of my social media guys just replied with a GIF of a baby crying. And then it just became a GIF war for like 30 minutes. And we absolutely smashed it, right? Because we're like the Wendy's of banking when it comes to social media.
So it was like the founders battling on Twitter?
No, it was Revolut's Twitter account vs. the founder of N26.
Sounds like...
and then
yeah.
what they did that was really funny, to show this, they took a picture of like them holding up our card and then holding up their one. And our response was like, great to see the Numbers 26 team stocking up on Revolut cards. We absolutely support this. And we were being funny, right? We were just having a laugh. I've worked with Germans for a long time at Rocket Internet. Not the biggest sense of humors. Didn't quite get it, which was a shame. But that was a time where I thought one reply would have been funny. It kind of went on, and it became a little bit immature. And some people, some journalists were calling me up like, you're my bank, not my friend. And I was like, okay. So
must be interesting to work with you guys. And also, is there, because this tone of, let's say, aggressivity bordering on arrogance sometimes, how do you manage this internally? Because in the times that, inclusivity is so much trending and all of that, and you cannot say this, you cannot say that, you're going to make jokes, regional jokes or something. How do you guys manage this internally, and how is it rooted in the company culture? Look, or is it just you?
Look, no, I think we're all free thinkers, right? That's what I told you. Tech is great because tech has always been free. I don't believe in giving a rule book to all your employees saying, like, this is how you have to act, this is what you have to say, you can't have anything, you can't debate anything like this. I remember I went to a company and their rule was like, no politics, no religion, no this. There was like a bullet point list of like no talking points.
Talk about work?
Huh?
Talk about work.
No, you can talk about work, of course, but
that's what they want.
maybe they can intertwine, right?
Yeah.
Revolut is my religion. Bit of free marketing for you there. Yeah. But ultimately, no, I don't believe it. Like I said, I don't want to have this restrictive culture internally. It's not necessarily my call, but I fight my case at the top to make sure that we let people take risks. We let people try new things. And if they fuck up, it's fine. Hold your hands up to it. Own the responsibility. Right? It's one thing I always say to people, like, if someone's making fun of you, do you know the best thing you can do to respond to it?
Fire back.
It's just be like, yeah, do you know what? I am pretty ugly. You're right. And then just watch their face when they're sat there like, not me. Yeah. But that's the point. You own your shit, right? Because usually people would fire back defensively, right? And then you're letting them win. But when you sit there and make them look a bit stupid and be like, maybe you're right, it gets them thinking. So my view is always just, I don't think there's any limits. It's certainly not to culture, right? We're all independent, free-thinking people. We're not all the same. And Revolut's got this great culture of like no bureaucracy, no politics. So for example, our founder, Nick, sits right in the middle of the office in an open plan next to everyone else. He comes in with his Beats on and his T-shirt and his ripped jeans, and he sits down, right? Anyone in the company, no matter how junior or senior you are, can approach him and just talk to him, pitch him an idea. And if you pitch him a good idea and he likes it, he'll let you run it, right? No matter where you are. Like Revolut's the kind of place where we are hardworking, right? We work long hours. We're very passionate about what we do, but we're well looked after. Like for example, at Revolut, every 6 months we have performance reviews. And in that performance reviews, no matter what position you are in the company, you can get stock options as your bonus. There's not many companies that have a $2 billion valuation are still given equity. A lot of them hold it back, right? Because they don't want to further dilute. So Revolut, we could just say to people, yeah, here's a basic 10% salary increase year on year like every other company. But Nick's view is like, you're building this company, you deserve to get rich as well as everyone else who builds it. And I love that. So I think that's really important, whereby Nick's view is like he hires future founders, right? And what he means by that is he believes that everyone who's working at Revolut will then go on to build their own company. And he's told, that's one of his personal KPIs, is that he wants to assess how many people eventually move on from Revolut and start their own company. And if his view is, if you've done that, he's succeeded in his goal. He believes that what you can learn at Revolut in 1 or 2 years is what is like 10 years in another industry.
I wanted to circle back a little bit about to the relationships with other companies, and specifically banks, right? Because I remember when fintech was the hot thing and we came around, all of the fintech startups, they didn't want to be called startups because otherwise they couldn't talk to the corporates, right? And so is that been a thing at Revolut? Have you guys have any problem with being called a startup, something like that, or you just don't give a shit about this?
It's bullshit, right? Yeah. Who cares? If you've got
they cared a lot back in the day, not anymore, but back in the day, it's like, no, I want to have these corporate accounts and they will not buy me if I'm a startup.
I think that's changed.
Yes.
I think big banks and big corporate companies, they see startups as being cool, right? They're buying startups, they're integrating with startups via APIs. They know they can't build this stuff themselves, or they haven't got a cool image themselves. So the more they can associate with startups and tech companies, it looks better for them, whether it's internally or externally. So we've never had that issue. Our view was we always had an amazing product that had such a unique selling point, that we had banks literally queuing up eventually to try and facilitate this. Because what we were doing, the idea of giving interbank exchange rates to customers and free international money transfers or spending abroad with great rates and stuff, this was all quite new to the market. And then we pitched them our sort of future vision, which was building this Amazon of finance.
I was going to go into that, but yeah.
Which I'll wait for. So no, I don't think so. I think as long as you've got a great product and you can clearly demonstrate that what you are doing is different and better than anything else that exists out there, if they know what they're talking about, they'll take you on. And if anyone doesn't, they're not right for you, is the way I look at it, right? It's like the investors who are probably crawling at the door now to invest in Revolut who weren't 2 years ago when we asked them. Why would we want them, right? Even if we had a space in a new round, our view was like, no, you didn't believe in us from the beginning. We don't want you. Right, and I think that's the way it should be.
And I was going to go into the Amazon of payments, because you introduce yourself as a tech company, right? You're not a bank yet. And so what's the differentiation point? Like, what cool things have you done in technology, and why is technology so rooted in Revolut? Can you share some of the things that you do? It's like, this is really cool. Like, this is something we've done, because the conference is about tech. So
Sure. So I think one thing I love to quickly talk about is why Revolut is different to these other, challenger banks and whatnot, your Monzos and N26s. And it's because they are aspiring to be banks. It's what they want to be, right? Okay, their tech might be a bit better, they might remove some fees, but they're still banks. Revolut's vision is way beyond that. We want to be this financial control center where you will manage every aspect of your financial life, not just your banking. We want to scale globally to as many countries around the world and create our own payments network so money moves freely and instantly for everyone, where we connect. It's like when you look at Amazon, they started as an online bookstore, and now they're in everything, right? They're in tech,
books,
and you name it. So our vision is that right now, people are doing their day-to-day banking with Revolut, they're doing their cryptocurrencies with Revolut, they're doing their insurance. Soon we're launching Europe's first commission-free stock trading, so similar to what Robinhood's done in the US, we're launching it in Europe. They'll be doing their trading and investments through Revolut, and then maybe in the future it's mortgages and pensions. So it'll be this control center, this one brand that you trust, that you know, that you relate to, that you know will give you the best possible value no matter what they're doing, and of course with the best possible tech. So even when we become a bank on paper, why would you want to call yourself a bank? It has such a shit reputation, right? No one likes banks.
Still not a lawyer, though, or a consultant,
well,
or a coach.
I think that it goes banker, lawyer, journalist. I think I saw a list somewhere. Yeah. But ultimately, it's true. Why would you call yourself something that people dislike? You're meant to be something new, something fresh, so why would you not just be a tech company? It's like when you look at Uber. Are they a taxi company? Not really. Are Airbnb a hotels company? Not really, right? Yeah. They're tech companies disrupting a traditional industry. And that's what we're doing as well. So that's the fundamental difference. I think we're far more innovative. I think our ambition is much bolder. It's much wider. I mean, for example, we're already in 31 markets in Europe. We're about to launch in the US, Canada, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Japan.
Yeah.
We're looking at India and Brazil. We already have people on the ground building this, getting it done. So, I think there's a big difference between, Revolut is going to be this global brand that is going to, provide the best possible financial service experience to millions of people in every continent in the world, which is incredibly exciting. And I think in terms of innovation, I do think Revolut's been leading the pack from a fintech perspective. I know.
Can you give a specific example of
of
we've
course.
developed this and this really freaking works? And
We knew that card fraud was a big issue in Europe, right? There's a lot of card fraud. There was companies like Ticketmaster and British Airways being hacked, financial details being stolen. We knew that people were falling for phishing and skimming scams online. So we thought to ourselves, well, what can we do to innovate, to provide a piece of tech that's going to give our customers an extra layer of security when they're shopping online? So we built something quite simple, was disposable virtual cards. So what that means is it's not a physical card, it's in the app. And every time you make an online payment, we destroy those card details and instantly generate new ones in the app. So what that means is every time, if you put your card details into, say, Ticketmaster, and it gets hacked next week, it doesn't matter. All those other people, their financial details were stolen. They may be compromised. But we protected you. We destroyed those details. You've now got new ones. So good luck to those hackers. So that was something so simple that's had a huge impact in terms of our fraud card cases. But equally something so simple that people were kind of saying, wait, why isn't every financial company offering these? I don't get it. I think the next thing is, as I said, is commission-free trading. Right? This is huge. People don't realize how difficult these things are to build and set up and connect, not only in terms of the tech itself, but connecting with stock exchanges, getting the necessary legal compliance and AML procedures done. So I think for us, that means that customers in Spain and everywhere else, you'll be able to invest in UK, European, and US stocks and ETFs commission-free. Without any fees. And again, that's part of our vision of building this Amazon of finance, of bringing this new industry of brokerages the average broker in Europe charges you 10 euros per trade.
Yep.
Per trade. Right? That's insane. So our view is that they're sort of just as neat as disrupting as sort of we are. And I think the other one was crypto. Now, our crypto isn't for everyone. For example, if you're a die-hard crypto nut, right, and you want to have your own private keys and cold storage, we're not for you, all right? Hands up. You stick to your Coinbases and Krakens and all that kind of stuff. But what we found is a lot of people in society wanted exposure to cryptocurrency. They couldn't go on any news site without seeing Bitcoin blowing up and this blowing up. But when it came to them trying to get it, they were completely baffled by
It was super difficult. And
yeah, they didn't understand what private keys were, what cold storage was. They didn't
wallet, and then
they were just like, man, I just want to make some money, or potentially make some money. I want to get some exposure.
You need
to
the freaking masters to set your Kraken account.
Yeah.
It's 3 weeks validation, super complicated, intricate process, and
Exactly.
it looks terrible.
So we said to ourselves, why not let people do it at the tap of a button?
Yeah.
Like we do with our currencies. On Revolut, you can hold and exchange 24 fiat, normal currencies, like pounds, euros, dollars. Why can't you do the same with crypto? So we launched that. We now have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Bitcoin Cash. And you can literally convert any of our 24 fiat currencies directly into any of those cryptocurrencies, securely hold it in your Revolut wallet, and you can sell it at any time. You can transfer it to other Revolut users for free. You can even pay for things. So like this morning, I got a latte in Litecoin.
Yeah.
Right? So
You paid for it.
yeah. So it
Not worth much Litecoin anymore, but
Nah, it was peanuts.
I was going to ask, so how about the product? Who are you going to blow out of the market? Like, for instance, I pay for American Express, I pay for Revolut, I pay for N26, and a bunch of others just to compare, right? And it seems to me that you're getting to the point that American Express is not worth it anymore for me. I just get the airport lounges, which is really good, but you're catching up. So is that part of the vision of the growth of the product, like giving more and more value to the users, and how do you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue in fintechs is that none of them make money, right? They're just burning cash. And it's fine to have a burnway, right? It's not an issue at all. I hate when you see these investors who clearly just don't know shit about tech. And they're like, oh, but you're not making any money. Like, if you go to any major VC and tell them that your ambition is to be profitable in the next 2 years, they'll close the door on you. They want to invest in big, things that are going to scale, that are going to grow, and they know that that needs a runway of money to burn.
Yeah.
So for us, we decided to take a different approach. We're obviously growing and scaling, but we're actually making money. So Revolut's revenue is increasing 5-fold every single year, right? Which is incredible. And the reason why, part of the reason we've been able to do this is this idea of subscription-based banking. So if you look at the most successful models, it's looking at people like Spotify, Netflix, iTunes, whereby they provide you a bundle of service in exchange on a 12-month contract basis, usually, in exchange for a monthly fee. So what that means is they've got you locked in for 12 months. That's guaranteed revenue for that year. And ultimately, you in return are getting a service or a product. So we said, why can't we do this in finance and banking? And banks have tried it, right? They've tried bundling all this crap that people just didn't want, right? And yeah, if I pay £5 for this, we actually listened to our customers and said, actually, what do you want? And what we found is a lot of the people who wanted to pay for it were people who live global lifestyles. They're people who travel a lot for business, for pleasure.
Definitely.
They're people who maybe have investments in other countries and they're sending money abroad frequently. So we launched, the first one was premium. So you pay $6.99 per month, you get unlimited foreign exchange, you get overseas travel insurance. Most recently, we've launched our metal cards, which have just blown, like we're panicking, like we don't have enough cards. Like we've got 60,000 people on the waiting list.
Sounds very useful, a metal card. I mean, great for metalheads like me, but
it's great.
what's
I've got
the
one
use
in my
of a metal
pocket as
card?
well. It's they're paying $12.99 a month. It's not cheap, but ultimately it comes with like up to 1% 1% cash back.
So who copied who in this time? Because I think N26 have got also metal cards. So
So we did. We announced. Well, it's not about who copied. I couldn't like. There's
who drew inspiration in this case?
No, for me they're so insignificant, right? So it's kind of like I'm not taking interest there. I'm not. This was something that we've been deciding to do for almost a year, right?
All right.
So this was just purely based on us. But
You
a metal
came to the
card
same
was,
conclusion, yeah.
Yeah. And the design was, copied by us. They copied our design. But my view is that we created this idea where we actually convinced people that they would want to pay for an account. And that's really uncommon in finance, right? Because what can they really offer you? But by giving them overseas medical insurance, covering health, flights, luggage, giving them up to 1 or 2% cash back on spending, giving them a personal concierge. So you could say...
In Spain, you don't get any of this. That's why it's successful, I think.
Yeah.
You get a credit card, or you get is commissions.
It's crazy.
Great.
I could say to Revolut, hey, Revolut, I need 2 tickets for the Barca game next week, and my budget is X. And then they'll go and book it all on your behalf and just take it from your Revolut account, and your tickets are sent right to you. So for me, this is like a really good revenue model for us. It shows that banking can be done right. It shows that people will pay for banking services if it clearly is based around them. And this is a thing. When we put a lot of research into our subscription models, thinking, actually, what do you want? That's all we kept saying to people, what do you want? Because we don't want to assume. We want to actually make sure we give it to you. So, and it doesn't stop, right? Airport lounges is coming in January.
Good riddance, MasterCard and American Express.
Absolutely.
Bye.
You don't need any of them now. Just Revolut. So
yeah.
Airport lounges is coming. With trading, we'll give you better options with trading. So we're still working it out, but maybe for standard users we cap it at like 5 trades a month, and maybe for premium or metal it's unlimited.
Are you deciding it right now?
Huh?
Are you deciding it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're mapping it out.
Like this. I decided it on stage at Startup Grind Barcelona. That was a great moment to take decisions.
Free marketing, right?
Free marketing. A couple questions to wrap up because we're running out of time. First of all, one of the core values of Startup Grind, and you know us pretty well, is that we like helping first and giving before taking. So is there anything we can do to help Revolut? What can we help with this amazing community? We've got 500 cities, 150 different countries.
I think stuff like this is great. Exposure, right? For example, we're still growing in Spain. I think Spain is around 200,000 in terms of Revolut users in the country, which is quite cool, considering we haven't done any, unlike other brands, we haven't needed to go on the metro stations and the airports. We don't need to spend money. People just love our product. But we've still got a lot of work to do. I mean, just out of interest, hands up if you're a Revolut user in here. All right, everyone else can get out.
So you're buying drinks for all of them, for the ones that pay?
That's okay, I've got cards with me.
Yeah.
But I think this is the kind of thing. I think it's not, Revolut's at a big scale. I think Revolut's going to do really good. It's going to make it. And I think one thing I like about these kind of chats is you don't want a sales pitch, right? I don't want to sit here and just sell Revolut, how amazing it is all the time. I want to say things that are controversial. I want to let you know where we failed and where we succeeded, because if you're all founders or if you're all aspiring to be founders, we're not saying that we have the answers, but ultimately you can potentially learn from the fuck-ups that we made. Or you can look at the successes when it came to marketing and things that we made and how we did it. And it's guys like you who give this platform, right? Because Revolut's not going to start a conference and bring in 500 people and do this, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future.
So I think for us, this is great. It's an opportunity not for us to get brand awareness and exposure for ourselves, but equally, I like these kind of firesides because people are actually learning, and it's not just sales plug, sales plug, sales plug.
Great.
So yeah, that...
Although we plugged a little thing here and there, right?
You have to, right?
Well, you're a marketer. I mean, like, come on, you couldn't help it. The second question, last one, and this is a tricky question, and that's totally unprepared. And we didn't prepare anything, by the way. But everybody has got a useless superpower. What is yours?
Everyone's got a superpower.
A useless superpower.
A useless superpower.
Something you do exceptionally well, but it's fucking useless.
Oh, I'm really good at yo-yo.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty fucking useless.
I can do the whole spin in the middle triangle thing and everything.
Is that involved also in the hiring process at Revolut? If you can do this, if you can beat me at yo-yo?
Nah, do you know what? I came from quite a poor area where I grew up, and we didn't have the luxury of the best toys, so it was yo-yos. And I remember my sister used to sleep in the bed opposite me, and she used to really piss me off, right? She'd always be sat there playing some stupid doll till the middle of the night, and I used to just take my yo-yo and swing it and hit her to shut her up. So that's how my fascination.
We're cutting
with
this from the
came.
video, definitely, but
and it worked a treat as well. Although she can beat me up.
It reduces your stress. Does it help you to relax or something? Or are you doing it in the office with somebody who's not performing, hitting the goals, like you hit them in the face or something?
Do you know what, that is a very Scottish thing to do.
Yeah.
But one thing I've learned is golf. So my stress reliever is, I don't even like golf, it's shit, right? But when you go...
But important people play, right?
But, I guess. I mean, I think dickheads play it, don't they? It's usually the bank VPs of this. But for me, it's just the driving range. I don't even hit the ball half the time, right? It's just being
but
able
it feels
to
like hitting
get
something, right? You should try baseball then.
Because if I don't do that, I will hit someone.
Right.
That's the thing.
With the I mean, it's pretty bad with a golf stick. Would be.
And I'm a Scotsman surrounded by English people, right? So
yeah,
it's too easy for me to hit something, right? Just get my blue paint out, put it on my face. That was like a punch noise as well, wasn't it?
Let's give it up for Chat West. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.